It's time. Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and today is going to be cutscene number 3 of 4 in the prologue adventure for Hoard of the Dragon Queen. Now again, this is just a prologue adventure. It's made up completely by me, just kind of slapped on to the Hoard of the Dragon Queen so I could kind of get the characters a particular reason and motivation to go to Greenest in Chapter 1. So tonight's cutscene, or tonight or today or whatever you're watching this, I guess, this cutscene is the first combat cutscene they had, or it occurs right before the first combat. In the 4 hours we played, there was only one encounter. Most of it was role-playing, but this was the encounter. So to give some context, I'm going to go into the quest of the whole quest and the storyline. I'm not going to bore you to death with that. But some context, the characters have come to the great cathedral at night, St. Baraxis of the Forest, and they have an audience with the Archbishop. And before we actually started to play the game, I sent out, and I kind of talked about this before, but I sent out 5 or 1 audio drama per player, right? So I had 5 players, so 5 audio dramas. And each one of those dramas were very specific to that player. And nobody else had listened to them. And it kind of gave them motivation and reason to come to Kingston. And so everybody who showed up at the table to play the game actually had their own kind of secret knowledge, things that they had seen, their characters had come across in the realm. So we kind of come to Kingston, and that night they do meet with the bishop, and they're just kind of telling him all these evil things, like these things that they have witnessed and seen across the realm, armies moving, weird symbols, things of that nature, because the cult of the dragon is moving around. It's active, and there's some devilish, fiendish things happening around, and all of them are different classes, right? So they've all kind of seen different things. Well, in the midst of telling the bishop all this information, they get an intruder, and the intruder is, now this again, I'm making this up, right? He is the summoner of Tiamat. And these guys are kind of, I'll put an image up, they're the acolytes, they come from the 9 hells, and this is a messenger, and the messenger shows up inside the cathedral, and he has some devils with him and whatnot, and it just kind of escalates from there. He kind of paralyzes the bishop, and everybody in the room becomes icy, it becomes cold, and the fear kind of builds up in the room. There is one mention of a character called Cricket, and you'll hear it in the cutscene. Cricket is our Fae. I'll put another image up. Why not? And she's one of the NPC's familiars, and she, little Fae, little fairy, kind of sits on her shoulder. Well, it talks about her and how she can feel the magic, she can feel the summoner coming, and she kind of shrinks away into the shadows like she's hiding. So anyway, this is the cutscene for this encounter. So I played the cutscene, and then we went right into combat. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it gives you some kind of context. And after this, there's only one more cutscene, which ends in a cliffhanger as they approach Greenest. So enough talk, as Arnold Schwarzenegger says in Conan the Destroyer. I won't be throwing a dagger at your stomach, though. But enough talk. Let's get into the cutscene. And here it is, the Summoner of Tiamat in Kingston. Oh, and there's one last thing. I feel like this is kind of important because you're going to hear it in the cutscene. When the summoner shows up, he talks about, this is the night of the calling, is it not? And the night of the calling in Kingston is when people from all races and classes come to the Archbishop, and they kind of tell the bishop what they've seen in the realm. Unusual activity. Maybe they've seen goblins. Maybe they've seen, trolls coming towards the farmlands. It's just the night of the calling is just this time for everybody to come in and just let the bishop know what in the world is going on in his realm, right? So that is actually in the cutscene. I forgot to mention that. I wanted to put that out there because the summoner talks about that. So that's why all the peasants were there at the bishop, at the cathedral, and then why, honestly, the characters were there too for the night of the calling. Okay, hopefully that clears something up. All right, let's do it. Let's just get to the cutscene. The quiet of the cathedral overtakes you.
as if you had stepped into the blackness of a graveyard at midnight. The Archbishop, holding his breath, silently looks from pillar to pillar as a phantom wind plays with the fiery tendrils of the torches. Cricket shrinks back, the soft glow of her body going faint as her eyes watch the shadows. Each of you instinctively rest your hands upon your weapons, but an icy fear has seemed to freeze your reflexes. The distant chatter of the peasants, now drowned out and muted by a mystical force. Suddenly, a moaning sigh erupts, and the room turns to red. The doors slam closed, and a burst of chaotic energy ignites into the Archbishop, raising him from the floor and pinning him against the back wall of the cathedral. In the shape of a cross, he struggles under the siege and burning temperature of the dark spell. In the middle of the room, a phantom portal opens, and from its ethereal depths, a being dressed in red, with an ivory skull emerges, his arm extended, keeping the bishop in his magical prison. With malice in his eyes, the skull opens its mouth to speak.
Evening, your lordship, the Archbishop of Kingston. I humbly request an audience with your throne.
Struggling against the spell, Keegan turns to face the demon and speaks through gritted teeth.
Why are you here, demon?
It is the night of the calling, is it not? I too have come to report on a great evil I have witnessed. Here is my payment. Gold. Gold will always bend the ear of a saint.
A bag of coins emerges from a portal in front of the throne. Devilish cherubs grin with ivory teeth as they open the bag, spilling out its glittering contents in a wave of golden splendor.
I think that should suffice.
Your coin and your kind are not welcome here. I know you are a messenger. Say what you must and be gone.
To the point, then. The one who tempered within the 9 hells will soon rise. A future where no knee will bow to kings, but to her. The sleeper only demands gold and blood. Tonight, I have provided the gold. You will surrender your blood.
Suddenly, from above, 5 dragon-like thralls creep from the darkness. Their acidic saliva dripping from armored mouths, clinging to the ceiling and the giant pillars ready to devour. Several drop from the ceiling, quickly surround you.
Farewell, Archbishop.
There you have it, folks. That is cutscene number 3 of the prologue. There's only, I think, one more left, and I'll be finishing up all the introductory cutscenes of that first play, that first session that we had. Again, you know, the images that I put up there, not necessarily representative of how I imagined. I have to, you know, sometimes it takes like a ridiculous amount of time to go through Pinterest and Google Images to find something that relates to my, you know, an original cutscene. So it's very, very difficult. So I just kind of throw images up after a while, because after when you hit 2 hours Googling images, it's like, you know what, I'm done. So yeah, those don't necessarily reflect how we all envisioned it. But anyway, so one more left, and then we'll wrap up those first session that we had together, my players and I. So again, I think I want to put these out here because I'm just trying to show examples of ways to create, I think, verisimilitude for your games and really to create tone and atmosphere. There's a tone piece I put out, I think, just previously to this video, the City of Kingston, that talks about how you can do something with just very simple narration and music to just open your sessions. And this is pretty extreme for me right now, because usually I'm used to doing like one shots, do a lot of public play and everything. So I do a lot of one shots, but even the one shots I'll do maybe two cutscenes at the most, right? But Hoard the Dragon Queen has challenged me to go much further. And I think every time I DM, I'm pushing much further in what I can do and what I'm producing. And hopefully the quality of these cutscenes, these radio dramas, tone pieces, I guess they're all three, get better and better and better. And going into chapter 2, I mean, it's been ridiculous. I got like maybe 15 cutscenes. So I can't imagine what this is going to end up when we finally get to the end of the book, if we make it to the end of the book. So, but yeah, these are just giving you ideas, springboards, things to think about. I think there's great ways to bring a sense of energy and tone to your D&D campaigns besides just playing like music in the background. I think there's so much more that we can do to create that what's the word I'm looking for? Not tone, but atmosphere. Okay, there we go, atmosphere. For your adventures. And sometimes just one little thing at the beginning can make all the difference. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully this helps. Hopefully it just gives you ideas of like, hey, maybe we can do this, maybe we could try this. Again, when my schedule slows down, I will get into the process of how I do this. I think at one point I actually created a video where I was just taking quick snapshots of me recording audio and then writing the script and then going into my software. But I'm persnickety, and I don't know. I what would you call that? Anal retentive? No. I'm a perfectionist. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Can't find words today. What the heck? I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I'm actually trying to step away from that. Like, stop that. It's not really productive, honestly. But I just want the quality, you know, and I think even this camera here is a Logitech something, C920 or something, kind of a popular one. But even then, I feel like, you know, this and the lighting, it's just not good. So I kind of hesitate to put myself any more on video than what I need to. But I think we'll get into that. Anyway, so that's it. I'm going to wrap up here, and we'll move to the fourth cutscene. You know, I think I've already put out the next campaign diary, number 3, and then of course I'll maybe look at maps again and another campaign diary. And I'm going to actually reduce those campaign diaries. I mean, the last one I did, campaign diary number 3, was about 30 minutes. I don't know if people are engaging that long. I don't know if anybody wants to sit through anybody's campaign diary at 30 minutes. I have no clue. I'm still shooting from the hip here, so I think I'm going to cap them at 15. I'll just set a timer. I got 15 minutes to tell you exactly what happened in 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna approach it that way from now on. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. This is supposed to be like a short video. Okay, guys, that's it. I guess I will see you in the next video with another cutscene and campaign diaries. All right, guys, thanks.